Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today we've got a great show for you. We've got
Antonio McKay, writer and creator of the hit show Sangre Negra. He has also been the guest star in over 35 television shows in both the U.S. and Canada, including Clueless, Highlander, Trapper John M.D., Law and Order, and RX, as well as a recurring role on the late-night comedy hit The Jimmy Kimmel Show.
And we're excited to have him on today to talk a little bit about his story and just see where this goes. So, Antonio, welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sorry about the technical difficulties with your camera.
Sorry about that.
It's life with COVID, you know.
And speaking of COVID, how has COVID affected what you do, and what are some things you've done to kind of maneuver through this crazy new maze we all have now?
Well, as far as the production of the show is concerned, we were lucky to have completed all 8 of episodes of the first season.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so we didn't have to do any more. We have to do a little bit more filming. There's some pickups for the last episode, but nothing major.
Oh, wow.
So luckily, during the COVID, we could do a lot of post-production, a lot of editing, some publicity, solidifying some deals, stuff like that we could do over the phone or through Zoom. But yeah, thank God it seems to be opening up a little bit. So now we're back to filming those pickups and then getting ready for season 2.
Yeah, that is awesome, because COVID has been really tough on the whole entertainment industry as a whole. I remember we launched this show January 2020, and a couple months before COVID, and we had this great goal of 100 interviews our first year. We thought, what, if we could do that, it would be amazing. We weren't sure if we could pull that off, that many, but we did. And then COVID happens. And I thought, you know what? This might be our time to shine as a show, because the whole entertainment world is slowing down. We need to speed up because we do it virtually anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year.
Wow. Gee, there you go.
And we're getting close to 400 now, and again, it's just been crazy.
Yeah, hey, you made lemonade out of lemons. That's what you have to kind of do,
Yeah.
And you watch on Facebook and you see a lot of these horror stories with COVID, and sometimes you feel guilty that you're blessed in this arena. But like they say, we can't change what happens.
No,
but we can find a way to maneuver through it.
Right, exactly. And you can't just let it beat you. You have to find a way around it. It's like any other obstacle. You see people going through the stuff they went through in Texas this year, and I know people over there, so I know how hard it is. But they got through it. You get through it, and then you move on. It's when you give up, that's when you get in trouble. Let it beat you. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So a lot of hosts would ask, when did you know you wanted to act and all that? I always like to go deeper than that. When did it click that all this could actually be a career for you?
Still waiting for it to click. Actually, when did it click? I never doubted it. That's the funny thing. I never really thought, oh man, I'm not going to make it. I was kind of surprised that the journey that it is. The journey is a very up and down kind of thing, a roller coaster. And sometimes you think you've made it, but you really haven't. Yeah. And then other times you think, okay, this is done. I need to move on to something else. And then all of a sudden something happens and you go right back up again. So the key is in this career to never, once you decide to be in it, you have to commit. Because once you give up, you've given up, and you just never know. And then throughout the rest of your life, you'll be thinking, damn, if I had just waited another couple of days or another year. So
you don't know how close you are.
You don't know how close you are.
And it's funny you say that, because we feel the same way with this show. As we started the show out as an up-and-coming country artist interview show. And that was all we ever wanted to do. We thought the show was going to be focused around that.
We did.
But as we started growing, we started realizing we opened the door for other artists, not just country. Then around September of last year, things started slowing down a little bit because a lot of artists were getting gigs again. So I was like, you know what? I got so used to interviewing a lot of people. I was like, well, how do I fill in these holes? And I was like, you know what? I wonder if the acting world would take us in, like the music world has. And then all of a sudden, now we're a full-fledged entertainment interview show.
And it's a perfect fit because we're fans of all entertainment.
There you go. That's perfect.
Okay. Who inspired you the most to go into acting?
Well, I got a few inspirations. I always say that I was inspired when I was about 3 years old and watching my mom's favorite actor. My mom's favorite actor was Errol Flynn. She loved Errol Flynn.
Ah, yes.
They were going to name me Flynn, but my father wouldn't have any. He didn't want to do that.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, but I remember watching all these Errol Flynn movies on TV and thinking, well, that's cool. I want to be a pirate. I want to be Robin Hood. I want to do all those things, you know. And then years later, they finally broke it to me that this guy didn't do all these things. He's just an actor who portrays me. I'm like, wow. I mean, he actually got paid to do that stuff. Yeah. Like, great to me. That's inspiration. So I always wanted to, live that kind of adventuresome life. Little did I know how adventuresome it would be, but it's a fun life. I don't really have any regrets. It's been an interesting ride, and that inspiration, you know, that was my first, I would say, like I say, about 3. And then later on, I just I got in a couple of acting teachers. They told me that I had what it took. And then I would see actors who I always liked actors with a bit of a flair to them. So when I started taking roles, I always wanted to be like, put a little bit extra, do something to make yourself stand out. You know, one of my favorite actors is Antonio Banderas.
Oh, yes.
Great name.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah, my namesake. He has a flair about him. Just something, even on every role he does, he just adds a little bit of something that makes it stand out. And I always thought, now that is what I want to be, that kind of actor, because they're different kinds. Yeah.
So what are some hobbies you like to do outside of acting? You know, because of course you got to be more, you know, especially when it comes to acting. I think a lot of people, sometimes you can be so deep into one area that you don't realize hobbies and stuff help you grow as a person so that you can become a better actor.
Exactly. Well, I'm a big music guy. Well, I'm more a big 80s music guy. One of my, well, I would say not one of my other profession rather than acting was always, I was in the professional impersonation business.
Oh, wow.
I worked for Legends in Concert and did.
Well, you're going to have to do one for us.
No, I'm too stiff right now to do anything. The guys I do are like Michael Jackson and Prince. So those are very active people. So I worked for that for a while. So I got to, you know, I learned how to sing. I learned how to get into the characters, which was acting. But I also got to be around a lot of great musicians, and I met a lot of people that I probably wouldn't have met. I also went all the way around the world. I've been to every place, like from Australia, Japan, China. I think I name it. Only place I haven't been is Africa and India. Those are the 2 places I haven't been to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So most of my extracurricular activity was that.
Oh, wow. So what's been the hardest role for you to play so far?
The hardest roles are the roles I used to get when I was younger. They were the hardest ones for me because they were not my experience. And when you're young, you wind up playing, especially if you're Black Latino like me, he wound up playing a lot of gangbangers. Yeah. So
Wow. A stereotype.
I'm about as far from a gangbanger as you ever should see, but I wound up playing those roles, you know. So I actually had to study that and hang around with them and experience what it would be like to be that. I played gang leaders, about 14 different gang leaders, and
now you do it again.
Yeah, now I do it. It's just elevated. Yeah. Now the gang leader is me instead of me being the gang leader.
So tell us a little bit about that. How did that show come about? And so it looks like all them years that you were played the gang leaders and all that prepared you for this right that you created.
To be the boss. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's a real interesting story because myself and my partner, who is also our director, Frank Pinnock, we were preparing a movie called Forbidden, and we were preparing it for 2 years, and we had everything going. Everything was ready to go, and the day the money was supposed to come in, they copped it.
Oh wow!
You've heard that story before. Anyway, so then again, the whole idea of making lemonade out of lemons, we said, okay, we're not going to let this beat us. Let's swerve a bit and see what we can do. We've got to stay active. We've got to create something else. We can't let this defeat us. So at that time, web series were a big deal. So we said, let's create a web series.
Oh, wow.
So we asked, what was my favorite TV show when I was growing up? And I remember my parents and I used to always, every Friday night, watch Dallas. That became my favorite soap opera TV show. And then I asked him, and he said his was The Sopranos.
So we said, you combine them.
Yeah. So what we could do, we could combine. I always liked that rivalry between JR and Bobby, and the bad guy and the good guy in the same family. I thought that would be an interesting dynamic. And then we bring in the mafia part of it, you know. So basically, my youngest brother is a cop, and I'm this mafia figure. So right away you have like, okay, now what's going to happen? And then our middle brother is actually a lawyer who defends me, and it becomes very intricate. But that's pretty much how it started. And then once we got Eric Estrada to play the patriarch, the dad, we said, okay, now that we've got him, we can't just do a web series. You know, first of all, we got to pay him. So we had to jerk it up a little bit. And then we said, okay, now let's make an actual series. So we filmed a pilot. After filming the pilot, we said we need at least 3 episodes to sell it. So when we finally got around to filming the 3 episodes, we said, you know what? If we got to 3, why don't we just film a whole season? Because then it would be easier for us to sell it. And that's pretty much what we did. So that's how we came, all independently financed, you know, no GoFundMe page or anything. We just did it all our own, different people putting in money who believed in the project. And now it's on the verge of a pretty big success. So,
wow, I love that story. Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see the big actors like your Brad Pitts, your Angelina Jolie, the glory behind them. They don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within the entertainment world. And I always want to talk about this side of it, because as you know, that nobody really talks about this side. They kind of sugarcoat this side of it a lot. And I'm going to tell a quick story that'll help guide us where I want this to go. And I think you'll be able to relate to this. Now, this is an artist singer story, but it goes right along with what you do. But I remember we interviewed Allison Steele with Two Steel Girls back in 2014. And at that time, they were full-time with music. And I remember asking Allison what advice she'd give for an up-and-coming artist. And I'll never forget what she told us. She said, this may sound funny coming from someone full time, but if you can see yourself doing something else, go do that and just keep this as a hobby. She goes, because the moment you want it to be a career, everything has to change. Your life has to change. She goes, you no longer own your own life. Everybody owns little pieces of your life from that point forward. Your friends and relatives never understand. They invite you to weddings, the cookouts, the weekends, the holidays. But when you're in that grind mode, you have to say no to all that. And they don't understand. Sometimes they think that you're too good for that, but you're not. You're in that grind mode of your career, and everything is about that beginning. That first few years of your career is everything, whether you're an artist or an actor. Then she added, then your family has to sacrifice. They have to kind of give you up to the world and say, now I'm willing to share you with the world. But then she added, but if you cannot see yourself doing anything else, then go all in. That's the only way that those kind of sacrifices could ever be worth it. What do you think of what she said? Let's talk about that side of it that nobody talks about.
Well, first of all, I think she copied everything I said. That is exactly, almost word for word, the answer I've given a couple of times when this question has been asked. It's the same thing. If you can see, make sure that anything else you even thought about doing, if you can't see yourself doing it, then stick with show business. Other than that, do it, because it's such a thankless life. Yeah, exactly. That roller coaster, and become friends with rejection, because you're going to get a lot of
rejection.
Yeah.
Like I remember someone said, and I love this quote: marry the process, divorce the results.
Yes, exactly. You have to be able to enjoy the journey, because if you're just in it to say, oh, I hope I'll be famous or I'll be rich, or 9 times out of 10, you may get there, but you're probably going to be really disappointed. And the bad thing about showbiz, or I won't call it bad, well, I guess it is kind of bad, is that even when you get there, say you get to the top, say people like you just mentioned, Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise or Denzel Washington, then you got to stay there.
Sometimes that's harder staying there than getting there.
Yeah. So we know about Brad Pitt, we know about Tom Cruise. They have managed to do the hardest thing, which is to stay up there. But how many actors and actresses and musicians who we know were there, and then they've just dropped off?
Lots.
What happened to them? Nobody. Whatever happened. That's why those whatever happened to things are so popular, because people always wonder what happened to so and so. He was a big star in 1993. Yeah, from 1993 to 1995, he was the biggest star in the world. You always see that. I mean, I know some of the greats. And then
the sad part is sometimes it's the drugs.
Yeah, sometimes it's drugs.
Yes, addictions.
Yeah. Addictions. It's all sorts of get in trouble, especially now.
Because all of a sudden you take this kid that's maybe 15, 16, 18 years old, and they shoot up to stardom almost overnight. And now all of a sudden they're making all this money that even if someone in their 30s, maybe they've never made this kind of money ever.
And they have the fame.
And they got the fame and all this.
Get anything they want.
And all of a sudden they crumble. I mean, I think they say the average person who wins the lottery, and we're talking $40 million, is bankrupt within 5 years. It's because they never learned how to handle
it. Right. And fame is just like money. There's a bank account, and it will run out if you misuse it. It just will. I'm not going to mention names, but I have some friends right now who are on the verge of major fame.
Oh, wow.
Then they did some stupid things through social media or texting, and now with Me Too movement and everything else, they're just done.
Yeah.
And we try to figure out. I said, all you guys can do is just lay low and hope to God that, other than that,
it blows over.
It's over. Yeah, just like that. So it's a very precarious position.
And nowadays, if you tick off you don't even have to do anything wrong. If you just make the wrong enemy, and that person's well connected and connected to that one of those movements, you're done too.
Yeah,
because of social media.
Yeah, I always find that it's sad but amusing sometimes. The guy from this is from like The Bachelor, when he was like kind of defending his person on his show, and then they canceled him for just defending the person. I'm like, he didn't even do anything,
and he had to back off.
And he had to back off. He gets in trouble. You know, it's crazy now. So it's become even harder now to navigate that tightrope that you have to walk. But to go back to the original question, like I said, I agree with her 1,000%. There can't be anything else you want to do. There can't be anything like, well, I'll do this for. You ever hear people say, I'm going to give it 5 years. Well, then you
might as well quit.
Quit right now.
Yeah, because you don't know. I mean, there are people that it takes, especially in the music industry. I'm sure it's the same in the acting world.
Actually,
but there are people that work 10, 15 years in the music industry, and then all of a sudden that one song takes them off. If they only gave it 5 years, they wouldn't have had that.
They wouldn't have had it. Exactly. It happens. Then you have the people like Billy Ray Cyrus, who shot out of like a cannon with that first hit. Then you didn't hear about him for years. You heard about his daughter. Then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, he hooks up with this rapper, and he has another #1. He's become hot again. It's just weird. Just
ain't it crazy though? He had one big hit,
and
then nothing, and then now he comes back in another big hit.
It's and after pretty much thinking your career is done, I'm gonna help Miley and then but all of a sudden he's back on top,
and he's probably had the best of the whole world, because if you think about it, sometimes the fame can be the toughest part. So he didn't have to worry about the fame. He got big, it went away. He got to live his life all these years without nobody really saying anything.
Right, and then help his daughter.
Become Miley's father, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's funny because a lot of people didn't realize that's Miley's dad. It's like, well, really? You talk to kids, they don't know. Oh, really? That's Miley's dad. As opposed to we know her as Billy Ray's daughter. They know her as. It's funny. I was talking to somebody about Michael Douglas, but they barely knew who Michael Douglas was. Forget about his dad, Kirk Douglas. What's that? They have no idea about the history. Nobody has any idea. So that's another thing. You have to stay abreast of what's going on too.
And just because your parents were famous doesn't mean you will be. There's a lot of people that they're paying their dues right now that you would know who their parents are, but you don't know who they are.
Right. Exactly. And some people do that on purpose,
That's true, because they want to know that they did it themselves.
That they made it on their own.
One of them is like John David Washington is pretty hot right now as Denzel Washington's son. Well, a lot of people didn't know he was Denzel Washington's son because he didn't make that a primary focus. And now when they find out, it's Denzel's son. So it's not like he made it overnight. He's I think he's still young, but he's not a spring chicken. But now he's getting his dues. So
love that. Now we talked about the sacrifice side a little bit. Let's go the other way and talk about the glory side. When you look back on your career so far, what are a few moments where you're like, wow, I got to do that?
Wow. Okay. I've got to do all those things I wanted to do when I was 3. Except I haven't been on a pirate ship yet. That's the only thing I haven't. But I've written
you need to get hooked up with Johnny Depp, though.
Yes, I do. That's my next move. So ridden a horse, done the sword fighting bit. I've traveled all over the world. I've kissed a lot of women, beautiful women. Always fun. Especially when you get paid for it. And being the bad guy, I find that you can almost live another kind of fantasy, because the character I play in Sangre Negra he gets away with a lot of things that
wow.
I couldn't. You know, most normal people couldn't get away.
So you get the vicarious live through that.
Yeah, you can live vicarious. So you get to do, you know, get away with things like, oh, this is really cool. And a lot of people, I think that's the attraction of the character. A lot of people would like to be that way. You know, I love to tell a guy something or get away with saying something and then not have it blow back on me. And that's what my character has been able to do. So
wow. Love
those
that.
are good perks. Those are fun.
Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see you as the actor, but they don't see the teams behind the people. And in my opinion, the teams never get the love they deserve. But on our show, they get the love that they deserve. So we're going to take a few moments. Tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
Oh, okay. Wow, it's got so many. Let me start with, let me go basically on the show itself. We have, like I said, my director is also my business partner, Frank Pinnock. And he not only is, like I say, he's my business partner, but because he knows me so well, he's also the best director for me. Like if I have any say in anything I do, I will always choose him to be my director because sometimes you have a director-actor symbiosis and it just clicks. So that becomes, he makes me better. So if he makes me better, I'm always going to want him in my corner, you know. There's one of them, of course, I have Knockout Productions who produced the show. And they've been instrumental in giving us all the freedom we needed and all the support to help us get the show to where it is and never questioning our creativity or anything like that. That's been great. I have my managers. One of my personal managers is Paula, and
she's awesome.
We love Paula. Yeah,
Paula's great. She's helped me tons. And we have my publicist, Penny and Dina. Shout out to them. They're great. I have a new manager, also a talent manager, Irene.
Cool.
Shout out to her. And I just have those people are behind you. And most important, you also have your castmates. You know, they're all great to work with.
You gotta love them, right?
I love them. You know, one of my best friends is also in the show. I've known him for years, and he's really established actor, Stoney Jackson. He's one of the actors in the show, and we bond a lot. So I learned a lot from him. He's one of the best actors I've ever known. I've picked up a lot of stuff. So you can pick up with stuff from your contemporaries and your teammate, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so all that, like you said, that's the team that makes you who you are. You know, it's not just a professional team behind you, it's also who you hang with. You know, that helps a lot.
Most definitely.
No negativity. You hang around negative people, it's the worst thing for an actor. If you have a negative person on your team,
and they start feeding into your doubts,
and they'll drag you down.
Yeah. They will drag you down, and they'll tell you, "No, you shouldn't do that because." But you're saying, "Well, why shouldn't I want to do it?" No, you shouldn't do it because. Then you say, "Well, maybe I shouldn't do it because." I guarantee you, eventually, you regret not doing it.
Yep, we were told this show could never work,
And
now we've had people like Randy Travis on, Lee Bryce, Sarah Evans, Ed Asner. You know, and if we'd have never took that chance and says, you know what, we've got something to offer the world, I think, with our show, and just take the chance and just launch. And the heck with what some people say.
We didn't care what the naysayers said.
If we didn't do that, we're like really enjoying it. Now, granted, there's a lot of work behind this. A lot of people, they see this 30 to 60 minute show and we have fun, but they don't see the hours before the show, the hours after the show, trying to will and deal with people, trying to get people on the show, trying to get all these rejections. And you know, they don't see the work behind the show.
Right. I know. Exactly. And you know what? And that's okay because you want it to look easy. You know, you want it to look like, yeah, it just happened. So because the smoother it becomes, the more people are attracted to it. But you guys know how hard you had to work. So you people would never understand it. So I just say, well, okay, oh yeah, see, it's easy.
And they're not supposed to. It's our vision. Not everybody can see the vision that we have, and we like it that way. Because if everybody could see the vision we have, we're probably thinking too small.
Yep, exactly. Good point. Good point. Because if everybody has that idea, then you're not special anymore. You just There's another thing I always tell people: be different. Embrace your differences. Like when you see all these people going for plastic surgery, and sometimes they destroy the things that made them unique.
Yeah,
I always remember the story of what's her last name? Jennifer, what Dirty Dancing girl.
Oh, Jennifer Grey, yes.
Yeah. And she always didn't like her nose, right?
Yeah.
So she got a nose job, and all of a sudden her work dried up, and she couldn't figure out why. Because she was like, "I look great. What happened?" She said, "But you don't look like what they were buying. You know, what made you unique." So it's the same thing with anybody, actors, singers, everything. Don't look at Barbara Streisand. She never changed that stuff. Or it becomes the change becomes the focus. Like I always wondered, like people made so much of a focus on Michael Jackson's physical changes that it took away from his music, and
then he did it more.
Yeah, did more, and the more he did,
the more he focused on that,
rather than how great he was as an entertainer and a singer. So, just leave what you got to make you unique, and just ride with it.
Yeah, because one of the things that makes us unique, I believe, is we're a married couple doing a show together, and we are a family affair show. And because of that, we bring our 9-year-old on the show. So he's Sandy's going to go get him.
Yes, his name's Christopher.
He always asks a few questions. And when we've got our daughter, who's Caitlin's 2, that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show. And hey, Square Table, we see you.
Perfect. Hey, Square Table, cool.
Yeah. And, but that's I think one thing that makes us different, because how many times have you ever seen a married couple interviewing people?
I can't remember.
And see, one of our goals out there, and I preach this all the time, because I want one day the right connections are going to happen. But one of our goals is to be the first primetime, daytime married couple TV talk show.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Because nobody, as far as I know, that don't exist.
Hi, Antonio.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yes.
Oh, my favorite food, believe it or not, is chicken. Not fried chicken, grilled chicken. I love grilled chicken.
Ooh, that's good.
Yes, and guess what? We had chicken wings last night.
Oh, there you go. You didn't invite me over either. That's messed up, man.
So what's yours?
Pizza.
Pizza? That's a good choice, too. Yeah,
and we had pizza and chicken wings last night.
Yes.
Oh, wow. You guys, I need to come to your house, too.
Okay, next question.
All right. What's your favorite TV show?
Sangre Negra, of course.
That's his show. Yeah.
Yes. SpongeBob.
Yours is SpongeBob.
And his is SpongeBob.
SpongeBob? Yeah, actually, I had a weird experience watching. I didn't know what SpongeBob was. And then I had my my little adopted niece over, and she was watching it, and I'm like, "What is this?" And she said, I said, "Oh, this is SpongeBob." So I actually sat down and watched like 2 hours of SpongeBob. And I walked out. I was kind of busy, but it was like, okay, I kind of get it.
That might have been on Nick or Nick too, because those are the both stations that come on.
Yeah, he knows all. And what's been cool is because he watches a lot of Nickelodeon shows. We've been able to bring a lot of actors from Nickelodeon shows onto our show, so he's been able to talk to a lot of these people.
Oh man, see, good for you. You stay close to him.
I will.
Okay.
Bye, thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you. See you later.
Yeah, he loves that.
Yeah, how old is he?
He's 9.
9. Okay, cool.
9.
So we're kind of keeping him and then our 2-year-old little daughter close to the entertainment industry, because again, you never know, right?
You never know.
And we're doing.
They have a passion there. Maybe we can help them. Someday.
And we're doing something now within entertainment. So if all of a sudden they go that route, we'll have the connections to kind of try to maneuver that for them.
That's right. You guys are moving fast because it's what, 2 years you say now? 2 years?
Actually 14 months.
14 months.
Not even 2 years. There you go. So yeah, you guys are on your way.
Yeah, but
keep doing it.
That's our plan. We've had almost 400 interviews now.
Wow. So you basically do an interview a day or 2 interviews a day.
There's some
days.
We've slowed it down now to where we try to do 1 a day, 6 days a week. But back last August, we did 48 interviews that month. That was our most month. So we did almost 2 almost every day.
Wow, really?
But that again, you know, sometimes more is not better. Sometimes more is too much because you don't want your audience to fall off either.
Right.
So we had to really look at the situation. And as much as, I mean, we got so many people that we still need to interview. And that's been the tough part because when we back up, then it's easier because we can get them all in. But it's harder for the audience. So we're like, you know what? Let's just back it up. Unless we've got something special, we're trying to do it 1 a day, 6 days a week.
Right. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. You don't want to oversaturate the market, as they say. But,
that's right.
You know, the thing is, everything keeps moving so fast. You just got to be able to change when it hits you, because it will hit you. All of a sudden, you're like, whoa, things changed again. Now you have to go, let me reconsider what we've been doing, and then maybe just adapt it to this. You know,
that's like what, you know, one of the things that we're planning on doing next is we're going to start a weekly show. So it'll still be the Chris and Sandy show, but it'll be like our weekly version where it won't be an interview show. It'll be more of a variety type show between us where we come on. We're going to tell people who's coming up for the week, who we had on the week before, kind of talk about that. Maybe current events. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on. Not politics. Keeping that out there, but current entertainment events, I should say. That's you know, keep it fun and all that. You know, kind of like the Bobby Bones show. A little bit about what they do. We want to kind of do the same thing and just to show people that as we grow, that we can do a whole talk interview show where it has some talk and some interview in it, so that one day we can get that game changer show where we become a talk show.
There you go. Perfect. That's it. You guys are, you know, it's the same drive that we had with our show, you know. Our show is on Tubi, by the way. Tubi TV.
Awesome.
Yeah. Everybody it's free, so everybody can there's an app, Tubi app, just go on the app and look for Sangre Negra, and the first 4 episodes come up, and you can see me playing the bad guy, basically, and it's a good cast. Everybody is fun, good actors. You know, again, everybody's bringing something different. It's a truly diverse cast. It's basically Latino cast, but we have everybody, you know, we have Russians, we have Armenians, we have, you know, African Americans, African Caucasians. We have all sorts of people. We have everything you could possibly imagine. But the thing is, nothing is forced on you. It's just like we're just reflecting life the way it is, you know, and that's just the way it is. You know, it's not about putting one person in this part or a token person in that part. Is just people being people, and that's how you intermingle.
Love that.
That's the best way.
Yes. And what would you like your legacy to be in the industry? What would you ultimately like to be known for?
Wow, believe it or not, I'd like to be known for achieving what I call basically that I proved that you can do what you set out to do, what you dream about. It may not get to the level that you may want to have it, but if you keep working, you're going to get some version of your dream come true. And I want people to remember that my journey wasn't easy or straightforward, and a lot of ups and downs. But as long as it goes back to what we were saying, I stick with it. This is what I achieve,
Yeah.
And right now, I'm trying to create this brand, basically. So if I play this character for the rest of my life, I'm happy. I don't care.
That's like us. If we do this show the rest of our life, we'd be happy with that.
I'm not. I don't care about stretching as an actor. Like I said, I did all that when I was younger. That was my stretch. Now I can play people closer to me, and I can create a persona that people appreciate and like.
Yeah.
And I believe I learned that from Larry Hagman, the one who played J.R. He played all these different characters, like a Dreamer Genie and all that.
Oh, yes.
But that one character that stuck.
Yep.
And he was doing JR no matter where you saw him. He had a cowboy hat. He was just enjoying it.
Well, it's like the guy that plays Urkel.
Yeah.
He never was able to get out of that role. I mean, I think he tried other stuff after Family Matters, but I never really seen it happen. That Urkel's role was so strong.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
When you see him, you think, Urkel.
It happens to a lot. I mean, but some people, like you said, JR embraced it. Okay?
Yeah, he did. Mm-hmm.
Urkel didn't, and I understand why. Because unfortunately for him, that role was done when he was very young.
Yeah.
So you can't you grow out of it naturally. But unlike somebody like Michael J. Fox, who was lucky enough to get other opportunities to play different roles, so he wasn't just stuck as that Family Ties guy.
Yes, right.
He became an actor known for other stuff. But so it all depends on when it hits and how it hits and how much of a impact, Let's face it, who looks at Henry Winkler, and you think of the Fonz. He doesn't look anything like he used to look, but you still the Fonz,
Yeah.
Sean Connery, as many great things as Sean Connery did, when he died, the first thing is James Bond. He will always be James Bond. No matter how many James Bonds come after him, he's still James Bond, right? He died, he was 92 years old or something like that. So, but nothing's wrong with being branded. Nothing's wrong with it. People want to identify that character. So if I'm Ricky Santos, that's great. I'm happy.
That's like Ricky Schroeder was, even though he was branded as a team thing, he was able to change his career.
Oh, that's right, with NYPD Blue. And
I mean, it was so different actor, right? With NYPD Blue. I mean, compared to what he was, you're like, whoa, But again, he was able to move out of that mold. And so every now and then you do, that's one of the hard parts, I think, with young actors, is if you have a TV hit show that lasts years, and it becomes a staple of America, it's really tough to get out. But Ricky Schroeder was able to actually move out of that and into an adult role.
The other good thing was he had another hit show. When you have a hit show, that lets you, or a hit movie. Who was it? Who was always Alfonso Ribeiro.
Oh yes,
he was with Ricky Schroeder and Silver Spoons.
Yes.
And then he became Carlton on Fresh Prince.
Carlton Banks, yes.
And now people they were still know him as Carlton, but he's done other things that locally, he's been able to, but he's still Carlton,
Oh, yes, we always think of it as that.
Now
you just never know, right?
You just never know. And look at his co-star. I mean, Will Smith. How many people really you don't think of Will Smith as a Fresh Prince anymore? Because now
you think of his movie career.
Yeah, he's a big.
He's reinvented himself multiple times. He's probably the master at that.
He's the master. Yeah. He's Bad Boys. He's Bad Boys. As
absolutely.
Then musicians the same way. They have to adapt. They have to change with the times.
Exactly.
Right.
I love that. So as we come to a close here, let's say you had a friend of yours and you saw him or her act, and they've got something special, but they've only been in maybe a couple shows. We're talking like maybe a one-line part, couple commercials. So they're still getting their feet wet on actually getting in. But they just know that this is what they want to do with their life. What advice would you give that specific person who has that talent to kind of help guide them the next few years?
Well, okay. Well, beside the fact is, like, again, make friends with rejection. They're not rejecting your talent. Right. They're rejecting the fact that they have a different outlook of a character. I always tell people, you could be rejected for a character for all sorts of reasons. You may remind the guy of some guy who stole his wife, you know.
And you know that happens more. I mean, you know how many actors have told us that happens a lot, where if you remind them of somebody they don't like, you ain't getting that part.
Yeah,
exactly. And it has nothing to do with your talent. You know, you got to remember, 90% of the actors around are all talented to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a different way of doing things, and people like your style of, you know, and your package better than the other person's package. It has nothing to do with the talent. It's just that we've all been gifted or not gifted with certain physical and vocal characteristics, different things. I have a friend of mine. He's always telling me, man, well, I wish I had your looks. I wish I looked like you. Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but I wish I had your voice. His voice is so great. He speaks and it's like, oh shoot, everybody turns, you know. So I said,
I just wish I had everybody's nose, as in I sniffle a lot. And so I'm conscious of that because I have bad allergies. I've had them all my life. In fact, that stopped us from doing the show for a while because I was so conscious of that I was like, you know what? Nobody will listen because I sniffle so much. And then finally I was like, you know what? I got to get over that. We got a vision.
Yeah, don't let that be a barrier.
And I'm thankful that I was like, you know what? Some people will listen, some people won't. So what?
I didn't even notice it till you brought it up. So there you go.
Yeah.
So see, because and that's good. You know, I need to know that because again, sometimes, you know, I forget that not everybody's paying attention to that.
Right.
But I'm aware of it.
Not everybody else is.
You have to, like I say, confidence is everything. That's another thing you tell. Have confidence in yourself. Don't what they call it, question yourself or your choices too much. Just go with your instincts, because if you go with your instincts, you usually can't go wrong. Because even if you get wrong, you're like, well, that's what I thought. So, you know, move on. That's
because I'd rather go for it and get it wrong than to never go for it and wonder what if.
Wonder what would happen, exactly.
Because again, you know, if this show flops one day, then at least we know we did everything that we possibly could to make this work.
To make it work.
But if we was to quit, even now, at this point, if we said, you know what, it's over, not doing it no more, we will regret that.
Wonder what if.
We will, you know, again, it's one of them things where, you know, I would rather take that chance and run hard, and even if I end up in failure, than to be a success doing something that I was never called to do.
That's right. That's right. You can. I know plenty of people who will regret, even though they're successful at what they do, they regret other things. You know, that they didn't get a chance to do because they were scared of failure. You know, you can really be scared of failure, because without failure, you can't have success. As they say.
Yeah,
that's so true.
Exactly.
Yes.
That Michael Jordan shot way more shots. Missed more shots than he hit, you know.
And something like 10,000. He's got this big quote out there. I wish I could remember the exact quote, but something like he said.
I forgot how much it is.
Like 10,000 shots. He's missed a lot of game-ending shots. You know, and he talks about, but because of that, that's what's made him the great.
Exactly. Yep. I say every time you always look at next to these guys. Especially like in basketball, who have had all these great records. You look at, well, my favorite player was Kobe Bryant. That was my basketball idol. And Kobe had, he had all these game-winning shots, but he missed so many more than he made. but you don't remember those. You remember the made shots. So it's the same thing when you're doing you can fail on a lot of TV pilots and everything else. George Clooney, I think, had like 30 pilots that
you
failed.
only need one big one, right?
One that made him was successful. Next thing you know, he became George Clooney. So that's it. Nobody remembers all the other stuff that were failures when nobody cared about it. So it's
absolutely love that. Now, tell everybody how they can reach out to you if they want to get in touch with you.
Oh, sure. I have a Facebook page. It's Antonio McKay. It's the actor, not the track star. There's a track star and it's the same name. And my Instagram is amac at Sangre Negra, which is another easy thing for people to remember. Antonio at Sangre Negra. And I have a Twitter page, but I never use it, unfortunately, because I get in too much trouble. I don't want to get in trouble, so it's there.
And make sure people know how they can find your show.
Oh, you can find my show. Watch Tubi TV. You can get it on the app. It's the #1 streaming service in the world right now, even over Netflix. But of course, it's free. So that's why it's most popular. So just tune in and just put in Sangre Negra. That's SANGRENEGRA. And then it'll come up. And we have the first 4 episodes up. You can binge it. And the next ones are going to be up next month. So
wow,
awesome. The whole season, so you'll be able to watch it. But Tubi TV, TUBI.
Yeah.
Love that. We really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we look forward to having you back down the road.
Great, me too. This was fun.
Love that.
Oh, we enjoyed it.
Have a great day.
I'll try to get landscape the next time. I'll buy a different tripod or a different phone, one of the two.
Sounds great.
So